Real Talk with Grace Redman features conversations with fierce and fabulous people from Grace's community and circle who inspire others with their stories of overcoming challenges to create amazing. Grace is an entrepreneur and success coach who works with individuals to diminish their negative mental chatter, boost their confidence, achieve their goals, and increase their prosperity mindset. Get ready for a series of anything goes conversations with remarkable men and women that will get you jazzed for life's unlimited possibilities of success, freedom, and fun. Welcome to Real Talk with Grace Redman.
Gonna get started because this is a live episode of Real Talk with Grace Redman, where I get to have real life, raw conversations with incredible people from my circles and communities that have overcome challenges and created amazing. So today I'm super excited to be here with Karen Cowperthwaite. I love Karen. Karen is also known as Soul's sister. She's an intuitive, soul nurturing, transformational life coach. She supports women to up-level their thoughts to healthy and positive ones so they can stop getting stuck in negative self-talk and create the life they want to live. With compassion, humor, and inspiration, she empowers clients to reconnect to their inner sage wisdom. Through intuitive work, life coaching, and her online community, Karen is a teacher and a guide who is here to inspire and provide a soulful toolbox individuals can use to move forward strong and confident in all areas of their lives. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you, Grace. I'm so happy to be with you today.
Girl, I'm so excited to see you today. I've missed you.
Yeah. Time just marches on, right?
It does. And I'm used to seeing you, a few times a month and being so connected to you. So I've missed your spirit and energy, sister.
Oh, it's so good to be with you. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Actually, I'm excited. I want to congratulate you. One of your daughters just got engaged. How exciting.
Yeah, my oldest daughter just engaged last week to her high school sweetheart. So they have been each other for 6 years. So that's a first for me. So I will be mother of the bride.
Yeah, a new adventure ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to watching the adventure unfold online. That's something I do love, about Facebook, is that we can connect this way. And then I can get to, watch the journey, with the engagement. The pictures were beautiful. So I'm looking forward to watching that.
Yeah, lots of fun stuff. And you're right. Facebook is a great way. Social media tools are awesome to be able to keep up with everybody.
They really are. And I love it because I get to be here with you today on this episode live.
Yes.
And I was looking forward to it because there's so many questions I have. And one thing that I was curious about is, what motivated you to become a life coach, an intuitive life coach? I'm always curious about that.
Yeah, great question. So my first career was as a special education teacher, and then I did special ed administration for 21 years. And during that time, I had 3 daughters and was just feeling one day, driving home, doing the race against the clock, that there had to be something more to life than the way I was living it. That anxiety, that push all the time. And really that started opening up doors for me. So of course, your little, your tribe comes forward and nurtures you and supports you. And I learned so many different things, and energy work was one of the first tools I learned. Healing with the energy of the angels, that's always been kind of my mechanism for connection to something greater than myself. And then I was suddenly given an opportunity to go to Intuitive Life Coaching School with Colette Baron-Reed. And I hadn't even considered it. Yeah, I hadn't even considered it. In fact, the email had come through probably 3 months prior, and I had ignored it. I'm like, I can't afford that. I can't do that, And then things just kind of unfolded very rapidly, and I got an opportunity to do some energy work as a practitioner rather than just as a participant. And so all of that was unfolding, and so I ended up going and doing the 2-year program for Intuitive Life Coaching. So it was a real eye-opener on how we can really tap into our unconscious mind, which I call the higher self. It already has the answers, right? We don't even have to work. And so, Yeah.
I didn't even know that because, like you said, I've experienced it too. I was so caught up in the rat race and the business and the day to day and the kids, and that I was so disconnected from myself. And it wasn't until I decided to go back and get my coaching certifications that I realized, oh my gosh, we have all the answers within us.
Yeah, isn't that? I mean, it's incredibly empowering to know that, and really just learning the language of, you mentioned the sage self, but that's the same as your higher self, your greater self. So we just have to learn how to hear how that part of our wisdom speaks to us, because we all know how our chattering mind speaks, right? Blah, 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 you know, it drones on and on. We know the words, right? But our higher self speaks to us in such a different way. And I say it speaks to us in pictures. Oftentimes we get a visualization or like just a sensation, so that it's so much different than that droning voice that tells us what we're doing wrong, where we don't measure up.
So how do you know the difference between I would say the bitch, mean girl,
inner mean girl, right? Oh yeah.
And the sage wisdom? Like, how can you tell the difference?
Well, I think for most of us, the saboteur, speaks to us in where we don't measure up, how we're not good enough. It's universal, right? Everyone has a judge that resides in your head. But what makes it different between people, and that's how we know people's personality types too, right? We know there's different types of ways of dealing with stress. And so there's 9 different saboteurs that are accomplices to the judge. So one of them is victim. You and I had talked about that a little bit before today. And pleaser and controller and stickler, hyper rational, hyper vigilant. Those are some of the other ones as well. So there's 9 different types of saboteurs that speak and chatter away in our heads.
It sounds like I could be one of every of those.
You know what? It's funny because, Grace, I was going to tell you, there is a saboteur assessment that anyone can take. And so you can find it on my website, soulysister.com, but take the saboteur assessment and it'll tell you which of the 9 you are. And we are a combination. We're not just one. So usually it kind of breaks up into about top 3 that tend to be our go-to ways of sabotaging ourselves. So that's a really fun an interesting way of finding out how the saboteur speaks, because as soon as you take the assessment results and you start to look at which one yours is, you recognize the words that come forward, and how what it sounds like. It's so familiar.
Well, so before we wrap up, we'll have them go to your website so they can take the assessment. I don't think I've taken that assessment, or maybe I have and I forgot.
I don't know. I'll be interested to hear what yours are, though.
I can't wait to find out. I'll take it too. So tell us a little bit about the victim.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll be straight up honest, straight up, real. This is real.
Real girl.
Victim is one of my top 3 saboteurs. And the characteristics of this particular saboteur, and I have to say, just preface it by saying, nobody wants to be the victim, right? I remember getting my results going, oh, not the victim. Why couldn't I be hyperachiever, right?
I might be a victim too. I remember, we were conditioned to be a victim.
Yeah, it's really common, especially for those of us who are teachers, therapists, counselors, coaches. It's not unusual that we have that realization that we can have some of this tendency with us, inside of us. And so, it is, what we need to know is there's a lot of strength to having this kind of mind, and the strengths of victim mentality. And again, this is strange talk, but there are always going to be strengths with every one of these types. It's just that when we overuse or abuse them, it becomes self-sabotage. So one of the strengths of a victim is sensitivity, right? And I think
Yes.
you can relate to that, right? You can feel,
can.
yeah, we can feel our emotions deeply. We're very clear about what we're feeling. Even we recognize that these are difficult emotions. So there's that strength. There's also that we tend to be very introspective, right? We're capable of deep and courageous introspection. That's why we enjoy self-discovery, right? That's why we help others delve underneath what's on the surface.
Those are great qualities. I mean, those are healing qualities.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it so well. We really appreciate the uniqueness of individuals. We appreciate the uniqueness of ourselves, and we see it in other people too. And so
That's
we have
beautiful.
a lot of deep perception, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So like I said,
I'm deep.
you know,
Let's dive in.
it's not a bad thing, right? I
No.
mean, I'm definitely somebody who can say I really enjoy, deep conversations. I struggle more with the chit chatty, what somebody might call cocktail hour talk. Those are all good things. But when the strength gets taken too far, right? That's when we get into more of the self-sabotage. So self-sabotage for us might look like when we are criticized or we feel misunderstood, we tend to withdraw. And some might even say pout or sulk. I don't like to admit that, but it could be true, and that is just a natural tendency. For me, it's I would not say it's very conscious at times. I'm more conscious now, of course, but it just tended to be my MO, is just to kind of step back.
I know for me, when I've been in the victim mentality, it was for sure the pouting, or like feeling sorry for myself.
Yes.
And then feeling alone, and like nobody cared and nobody wants to help. And I feel like in the world around me, when I was growing up, the victim served a lot of people because then the victim would get the attention.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Right. And so I found that the victim, would show up to get attention. Like, oh, I feel sorry for me, please.
Yes. It's interesting. It's this idea that pity is a poor substitute for self-love.
For sure. For sure.
And it's like the saboteur, when it's working, it just only gives us little breadcrumbs to eat off of, right? So we got somebody paying attention. I'll take a little bit of this. I'll take a little bit, and that's, unfortunately, it's not very nourishing. The breadcrumbs are not helpful.
I have a girlfriend who says, "Girl, I am done settling for the crumbs. I want the whole loaf."
Yes, absolutely.
And I think the whole loaf starts with us loving ourselves. Because then we'll be like, okay, now I deserve the loaf instead of the crumbs.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is, once we become more aware, and everyone who works on themselves realizes that awareness is everything, right? As soon as we become conscious to the fact of what we're doing, what we're thinking, what we're saying, how we're acting, that's where the magic starts to happen. And so with awareness to, okay, there's my saboteur coming in, there she is, there he is, right? That's when we have a choice. So we don't need to keep our hand on the hot stove, feeling the difficult emotion for us to know it's not good for us. And so that's what the awareness is.
Definitely, feel it. And I know when I feel it, I know, okay, there's a little bit more work to do.
Yeah.
When that saboteur comes up, I'm like, okay. And the saboteur is also trying to keep us safe. So it benefited us at some point.
Absolutely.
So it no longer benefits us.
That's the overuse, the abuse. Is, the intentions were good, right? It wanted to keep us safe, wanted to keep us small. And so, that's, we learned those coping skills, those coping mechanisms that detoured us out of the difficult emotion and took us in a different direction, right?
Mhm.
And
And would coping skills be like, give me an example of some of the coping skills we may use?
yeah, so it would definitely be about, really looking within, okay, I know I want to feel like someone's caring about me. How can I care about myself?
Mm.
Or, number two, how can I express what I need rather than going about it very passive aggressively, in a way that I'm hoping someone guesses, that, oh, hey, I'm over here, I need something.
Oh, that's so something that I've experienced, not myself and with others, is like um, we believe that other people can read our minds and know what we want. So then when they don't read our mind and they don't show up the way we want them to, then we get upset and then we go into victim mode. And I've had that have the opposite where someone expected something from me and I couldn't read their mind and then they would get upset. So
Yeah.
that right there is also self-sabotage when we're not communicating what we want.
Mhm.
You can't read my mind. I can't read their mind.
It's so true. And the only thing I can add to that, because I absolutely understand what you're saying, I know what that's like myself when that happens. The piece that I think is also in addition is sometimes we don't know what it is we need.
That's true.
We are so used to, I can speak for myself, so used to just taking care of things
Mm.
that when we start to feel drained, when we start to feel, kind of the martyr syndrome comes in and says, oh my gosh, you do so much and nobody notices, that you also need. But I had not been a person who could identify what that was that I needed. And so that takes some, time and energy to really think, what is it that would help me feel, you know, safe, secure, taken care of, like I'm present and not just going through the motions. Because, just like most of us have people in our lives that really do want to help us, really do want to, we can be around people that deeply love us and we think no one's really paying attention. That's a victim mentality,
Yes.
right? Because it's not the truth.
Yes. And sometimes it's hard to ask for support. Well, I know for in the world around me, you don't ask for help because then that was weakness.
Right. Right.
And that's another sabotage. Like, see, now I know what you're talking about when all these sneaky self-sabotaging ways. We don't realize that's self-sabotage. We think like, no, I'm just being, proud and strong when like, yeah, no, you're sabotaging your shit.
Yeah, the negative feelings, right, that come forward because of that. We think that is who we are, when how, we think I am what I feel, but that's not true. You know,
Mm,
they're just our feelings.
yes.
They aren't who we are. And so
And we
that's intense.
Yeah, it's intense. And we have a right to those feelings.
Hmm.
And like you said, it's the awareness. When we become aware, okay, this is sneaky, this is the sabotager. Of course I have people in my life who love me. Of course there's people that want to help me. But the
Yes.
victim doesn't want us to get that help because the victim enjoys being in that place and feeling sorry for itself.
Yeah, it's just I believe what's happened is the intensity of all of it has just been spinning in your head, and you haven't stopped to get off the merry-go-round, right? You haven't been able to stop the spin. But once awareness kicks in, right, it stops the spin, even if it's for 2 seconds, right? And then, oh, we go back into the spin, and then awareness, wait a second, right? And hopefully we'll get off the spin for, a longer amount of time so we can get our feet grounded and stop and become, I consider to be, mindful.
Mhm.
When
Now,
we come into place.
when you talk about the spin, is what you're talking about those thoughts that ruminate and just tell us how, the negative thoughts, that's the spin, where they just don't stop.
Absolutely. Yes. And like I said, we'll have a certain break in the action that might say, hey, is this true? And
Mm,
then we'll go back in, right? It's a brief pause for 2 seconds. So,
right.
what we can do is anytime we recognize that we're in that spin cycle, right? There are some real specific things you can do that will ground you into your body so that you can become more mindful and stick with that awareness. So it's like it breaks the pattern of thought.
Mm-hmm.
It's crucial.
That you just said it right there, and that's something I learned in NLP. It's like you break it. It's a fraction. Oh, not I forgot what it's called. So what's one way? You mentioned there's 3 ways. What's one way we can break that pattern of thought?
Right. So as soon as you recognize, oh, I'm going down a rabbit hole of negativity, right? The simplest one that you can do is rubbing 2 fingers together.
That's pretty easy.
Yeah. So this is a technique that Shirzad Chamine has really developed and has, research-backed techniques and ways to really kind of break that pattern in the mind, our thought process. And so rub 2 fingers together with such attention that you can actually feel the ridges of your fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
So it requires us to really slow down, right?
Mm-hmm.
With intention. We're trying to feel the ridges of our fingertips. Mm-hmm. It's a 10-second break. That's it, Grace.
I felt it though. I felt like a little, because I took me out of my mind and kind of into the present.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say that it is, the specific action, whether it's breath work or this particular technique, right? It's really incompatible with the spin cycle of the mind. I can't concentrate on my fingertips and rubbing them together with attention and start spinning, right?
Yes, the distraction.
There's many different ways to do it. That's one of them. And so what's the point? Well, we want to interrupt. We want to interrupt the saboteur thoughts.
Mm-hmm. The pattern interrupt.
Yeah, and command the mind to do something different.
So with the victim mentality, I think that you mentioned the pleaser was also a saboteur. I feel like the victim and the pleaser might go hand in hand.
I would say you're accurate with that. If you have a strong need to receive love by pleasing others, it's probably going to ricochet and become resentment, which would then be
about that.
I hear you. Yes. Yeah. What our basic needs are to feel love and belonging, right? And so these are all just different ways that our mind has learned to try to get that need met. Mm-hmm. So it's not like the intention is wrong or bad. It's just that we have started to create a rut in our brain by doing the same thing over and over and thinking we're going to get a different result.
Oh, yes. Didn't Einstein say that? It's like insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
I know somebody did.
And yet we do that unconsciously. It's like we want to make changes, yet we keep doing the same thing over and over.
Right.
What is one thing, someone who's watching and, recognizing these, saboteurs in themselves, there's no right or wrong. What's one step they can take today to help themselves kind of get out of that mentality? Because again, we need to do something different. What's one thing that they can do that's different?
One of the first things you can do is kind of just recognize the price you're paying for that you're improving itself right over and over and over again. So what's the price you're paying for thinking, well, see, nobody showed up for me again, or, here I am all alone. No one even notices that I'm, withdrawing. What is the price we're paying? So that I think that's a good place to start. That way you can recognize how much time you are spending in, these negative types of emotions. How many times you're really taking yourself out of your own vitality.
Yes. And how is that benefiting you?
Yeah. I mean, I think most of us can recognize very quickly, boy, it sucks.
It sucks.
It sucks. I mean, I would definitely be one of those people that was like, oh my gosh, didn't even realize how much I was choosing to tamp down my own energy, not bringing the real essence of me, into places and relationships and,
Mhm.
just the belief in who I was,
Mhm.
right? Who I am.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I think is really critical and important for any of us is to whatever has happened to us, if it's a situation right now today, you lose your cell phone, um, trying to recognize, where the gifts and opportunities are with any circumstance. So how can you convert something that the saboteur will say is bad, bad, bad into a gift or opportunity? And that's your sage wisdom. That's your
Mhm.
higher self beckoning you forward, right? To say, come this way. Think of it this way.
The reframe.
Yeah.
So, Karen, can you give us an example from your, whatever you want to share from your life, a situation where you looked at it like, oh my God, this is terrible, this sucks, woe is me, and
Mm.
how you turned it around to see the sage wisdom in it?
I you know me pretty well, Grace. So, for me, really recently, I think I've had a huge surge of, recognizing it in my love relationship, how I was consistently sabotaging, um, you know, what I was willing to receive from it. So it's like my victim said, I want it this way, and
Mm,
I was getting it this way. And so that made this bad, 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 right? And the gift is number one, I can choose to ask for what I need, right? That requires some self-reflection, as we talked about. Number
yes.
two is, allowing myself to receive what I need in a different way from, whether it's with girlfriends, with, spiritual friends, with family members, and maybe thinking that a relationship, my love relationship doesn't have to look, this way,
Mm,
24/7. Um,
yes.
yeah, there's
I can
been some
relate to that.
yeah. There's some, yeah, I get to coach a lot of women who describe very similar, what I was seeing in my own life. And I think that is the biggest thing is rather than coming at it feeling victimized because it didn't match what I needed, was being able to step forward and level up to say, I can get what I need in many different ways and also express what I need and let that person, my husband, know what that is. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a negotiation.
It totally is. And relationships, especially the relationship with our significant other, husband, spouse,
Mhm.
is, I feel, one of the most challenging and one of the most rewarding relationships there can be. And I've had to do the same thing, is step back because because Disney fucked me up, you know?
Well, you didn't get the prince didn't quite come the same way you thought he would.
You know, because we have this perception, this perspective, these expectations, and that's not what reality is. And so, like you said, when I was able to step back and say, this person is coming to me in these ways. This
Yeah.
is this person's, way of showing love when I wanted the person to show love this way. So when I got out of my head and the expectations and
Mhm.
realized, like, okay, this is love. This is, the person is showing love this way. Um, it totally made a difference for
And
me as well.
we grow and change,
We
and
do.
this at the early part of our relationship is very different from the woman that I am now.
Me
And
too.
sometimes that's hard to swallow for people who have known us a long time.
Yes. And
Yeah.
also I've come to realize, I had this vision that, okay, there's going to be one person, that is going to be, my spouse that can meet every single need that I have in this world. Oh my God, that's so unrealistic. And
Yeah,
who wants to put that pressure on the other person?
absolutely. And I don't want that kind of pressure being put on me.
No,
So
no.
absolutely. Yeah, you're right. That's a great point.
And like, you said, and I think we've talked about this before. It's like we can get different needs met from, the different relationships that we have in our lives. And that takes the pressure, off that person, which is not fair, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I get to be responsible for my own happiness,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, and that was something I got to, realize. And who would have thought that that was such an important lesson? I should have
Oh,
been taught that one in school. Disney should be teaching that one.
yes. Yes, sister. Disney should be teaching that. I love Disney, nothing against Disney.
Yeah, me too.
It's just we grow up looking for love outside of us, looking for
Yeah,
something to complete us, when in reality, we have to complete ourselves. No one can make us happy. We have to find happiness. The people in our lives, the relationships enhance our life. They don't
yeah.
complete it, they enhance it. So let's see who's here with us. Um, Anne, Rachel, Thomas, Janelle, Valerie Smedley, Cammie's with us, Karen.
Oh, hello.
Hi, your daughter.
And Judy too.
My Auntie Nama's here, Judy James, Heidi Freund. She said it was great. She has to go back to work. Yes.
Great.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I love this, Karen, because we kind of just, flowing into what feels good to us.
Mhm.
So let's go back to the sage wisdom.
Yeah.
What are a few ways that we can connect to that wisdom?
So once we have that little break in the spin cycle, by doing something mindful, we talked about this rubbing two fingers together. It can be something as simple as breath work, choosing to take in, three conscious breaths, I call them, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Or, it can be, another of that little break in the action. Grace can be like just really trying to focus in on the farthest away sound you can hear,
Mm.
and then focus in on the closest sound you can hear. So again, once you take that break in the action, that's when the sage can come forward, right? It's that quiet knowing within you that when your thoughts stop spinning, you can connect to the wisdom of your own sage, your higher self. There are real gifts in tapping into your sage. So one of the ways that I like to think of that I think works for me as someone who can turn into victim is trying to find when I'm interacting with somebody else, trying to find the 10% that I see that is right with what that person is talking about. So as the
Mm.
victim, I can sometimes feel like um, I don't agree with how this person's talking. So one of the sage, gifts would be, I just need to find 10% of what that
Mm.
person is saying that I think, I agree with. So that's one of the possible, gifts you can use to find your sage self.
So
Um,
looking at the positive instead of
yeah.
focusing on the negative, which reminds me of something that we touched on, or we talked about offline, was judgment.
Mhm.
Judgment. And I was conditioned to judge, not even realizing I was judging, just picking
Mhm.
out everything that was wrong with everything.
Yes.
And it wasn't until, my own journey that I realized, or I learned, that judgment really isn't about the other person, it's about me.
Yes, absolutely. I found the same thing that you're talking about, Grace, because we can either judge self, which is usually pretty strong,
What?
judging others, or
We're,
judging.
we're, we're our own worst critic. I mean, we judge ourselves much harder than anyone could ever judge us.
Yeah, yeah, self, others, or circumstances, right? What's happening to us. The other
Mhm.
thing, and I don't know if you find this to be true, is um, if someone who judges others really harshly, what I know for sure then is that they judge themselves even harsher.
100%.
It's almost like it has to be that way because um, you can only judge yourself for so long before it has to spill out into others. It's almost like you got to save yourself. So
For
if you're
sure.
feeling bad about yourself, well, then you're going to start seeing things in other people to feel, like you can judge about.
For
Um,
sure.
so yeah,
And,
I
and
think it's.
that's helped me, Karen, because, I have a fear of being judged.
Mhm.
And I'm getting over it. And what I realize now, it's like if I am being judged, or I feel the energy of judgment,
Yeah.
I consider the source. Then I
Mm.
say, okay, I know this person. This person is very critical on themselves. Like tear themselves apart. So really it's not about me, it's about them, it's about them. And I realize like I don't take it personal, because then I'm like, yeah, I consider the source, and then I'm like, God, I can only imagine how harsh they are on themselves, and then I just send them love.
That's amazing, Grace. Really. That's some deep sage wisdom there. I want you to know that.
Thank you. I just send them love because I can only imagine what their inner critic is saying to them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so important. We're all, just, in spite of our uniqueness, we all are really traveling the same journey.
We are.
And the human experience is rough.
It can be. And I feel like we all want the same things. We want to be loved, want to be seen, heard, and belong. Just you want to feel good.
Yes. Yes.
Want to be connected. You want to feel connected. And, because of our different experiences and our traumas, I mean, sometimes we get so far away from that. And that's what brings us to the victim, to the pleaser, and to the overachiever, which I would know nothing about. But
that's not my number one either.
But the beauty is we can shift and we can make changes, and we can choose to live our life in a very different way instead of handcuffed to the saboteurs.
Yeah. Who we are is not in our incessantly thinking mind.
No.
Who we are is such a greater essence. And how I describe the difference between saboteur, knowing it's saboteur energy, or knowing it's sage wisdom energy, is the saboteur energy will push you from behind. It's like, come on, Grace, do it. You need to be this, you need to do that. It's a push from behind. It's forceful. It's not comfortable. When you have the sage energy, it's like, and I'm going to use a female reference, just her for myself, but it doesn't matter how it comes forward. Is she beckons me forward. She calls to me and says, it's out here. It's not back there, right? Come forward. It's a much different, gentler, calmer, sane energy.
No, we're stuck. Oh, I'm stuck. Here I am. The sage wisdom comes, I feel like, here, like from the spirit. And the other is like, it's here, like you said, pushing. It feels like stressful, where the sage wisdom feels peaceful.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. And I would even call it like, it's a pull from my heart, right? My heart gets activated when my sage self is present to me.
And I remember a beautiful moment with you, and I'm sorry I interrupted you, because I think this is part of the sage wisdom. When I was away with you on a retreat, one of my friends happened to pass away while I was gone, and I was upstairs in the room by myself. And I was so sad. But then you came up in that moment to see me, because your sage, you knew, like intuitively that sage wisdom drew you to come up to me.
Yeah, you're right. And I remember your face, because you were in bed. I remember your face. You were surprised that I was there, and I didn't know any different. I didn't know what I was coming to see you for, or to be with you for. But yeah, there was this knowingness that I could be present to you. And in that moment, you were feeling deep sadness.
Yeah, which was beautiful, which reminds, like now what's coming to me is like that sage wisdom is the intuition. Is that it connects us to other people.
Yeah.
The energies, to the feelings, to the knowings. And sometimes we think, oh, like that was so weird. But was it really weird? Because we're all connected. We're all connected. Energy is real. That sage wisdom is real. We're not separate. We're all one.
Yeah. It reminds me, Grace, that when I first started doing energy work, I heard a message from what I call spirit that said, we are meant to heal one another. So we are meant to heal one another. That's why we came here together. We were never meant to judge or compete or have this hierarchy of who's better, who's less. But we came here really with the the gifts of being able to heal and connect and to love.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. And I know that to be true. I
Hmm.
know that to be true. We are all connected. And I know right now we're in a space in the world around us where it's so separate. And really at the end of the day, it does not matter what color, what race, what gender, what religion, whatever you choose, it doesn't matter. We're one. Like, I don't care who you are. I respect you because you're a human being. You have blood running through your veins. And I think that's important. We all come from dust, and we're going to go back to dust.
Mm. Yeah, I've been really feeling strongly that no matter what decisions people need to make, whatever choices they feel strongly to make, it's not my place to judge it or believe either right or wrong, right? It's just,
No, no.
it's just to be love, right?
That's it. And love is always the answer. And I know it sounds like, so let me put my rose, colored shades on, but it really is. Love is always the answer. And I believe like it has to also start with me. Like if I'm not loving myself, it's going to be really hard for me to show that love outside. If
Yes.
I'm angry inside and if I'm resentful, that's what's going to come out. So I always make an effort when, because I get angry, we're all human.
Yeah.
I remind myself, okay, go back, Grace, go back to source, go back to God, go back to the love, and it reminds me like something's off with me right now. If I'm feeling this way, which, no right or wrong, I'm human. We're human. We're going to feel what we feel. It's just when I'm out of alignment, I know I got to come back to the love.
Yeah. That's it. It's plain and simple. That's the
Right.
choice you can make. And yeah, everything you said, Grace.
But
Yes.
easier said than done.
Yeah, well, that's a part of the human experience we signed up for.
Sometimes I just like to sit in my anger. I just want to be there.
Yes. Yeah, I know. And that's okay. I mean,
Okay.
how do we know what the opposite of love is, right? We got to have the contrast.
Well, you just brought up an amazing point. That's what's so beautiful is the contrast.
Yeah.
Because you don't know I think what do they say is the more pain you feel, the deeper you feel the joy.
Yeah, I think they do say that. Yes, absolutely. I think because we know the spin of our head, we know the depth of our soul, the
Yes.
quietness.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And that was something for me that, having been in the spin for so deep in the spin for most of my life, so deep in the saboteurs, and it felt horrible,
Yeah.
And so when I came, started to learn and heal and come out of that, the joy I felt was overwhelming, that I wanted to share it with other people. Like, you don't have to stay in the spin. You can feel joy. You can feel the peace. And that's
Yes.
what you do too, Karen. You help other women to get to that joy and the peace.
Yes, it is fun, isn't it? That we are teaching what we are learning, right?
That's right.
Feel like sometimes I'm just like a half a step ahead, because
Yes.
something I just experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes I'm half a step behind, but I'll catch up.
Well, yeah. Usually if I get to teach it and coach it, I'm I'm at least the half a step ahead. But yeah, I'm constantly learning,
Yeah.
constantly surprised by, I thought I had that down. I thought I learned the lesson. How many times have I heard that?
Oh, I was just talking to one of my clients about this yesterday. It's like new level, new devil. So every
Like
time we level up, our, saboteurs are going to come back again. It doesn't mean we didn't do the work. It just means, okay, now we're leveling up to a different level, and it's time to heal another layer.
Yes. How I put it is, I always know when I'm feeling terribly uncomfortable that I am in a growth spurt, right? I'm
Yes.
leveling up. And
Yes.
so that's what I tell clients too. Absolutely.
Yes.
When you're uncomfortable, it's happening.
That's right. So I'm going to see who's here.
Yeah.
Melissa. Oh, I love you. You are both powerful light bearers. Thank you for these sacred conversations. Thank you for being here. David
Oh.
Weaver. says, yes, easier said than done, but practice makes perfect. And the more mindful we can be during the situation, the better we will be next time. Absolutely.
Oh, that's so true.
Right. And Janelle says, I'm loving all the reference to sage. This has also been validation of my mother's presence with me. She wrote a poetry book called Wisdom from My Sage Turtle. Yesterday, I was rearranging her table for her ashes. And this morning, my first post had a life journey lesson depicting a tortoise, divine timing, catching the fly stream. Thank you. I saw actually your turtle post, Janelle. It was beautiful. And I love the analogy of the turtle and the hare. Life analogies, like who won the race? The turtle, because it took its time, and the hare just kind of fizzled away. Karen, this has been so much fun.
Oh, Grace, it's so great to be with you. Thank you so much.
So tell our audience where they can find you and what you have on the agenda next, what they can, where they can find you and how they can work with you.
Absolutely. So you can find me at soulysister.com. That's SOULY sister.com. On my website, I have a couple of free gifts. One that we talked about was the saboteur assessment. So you'll find that on my website on the homepage. Take the free saboteur assessment and find out how your saboteurs lie to you. I always like to explain that's the lies they tell. I also have the 6 weeks positive intelligence coaching program that walks people through this process of, really reducing and limiting the the saboteur lies. So, and then how to self-command the mind with those tools, and then really, strengthen your sage wisdom. So that's what we want to do. So you can find out more on my website or message me. I'm happy to talk to anyone who wants to find out more.
Yeah, I mean, Karen's amazing. And I'll also have your information down at the end of the podcast where they can find your website. And definitely take the assessment. I'm going to take it again. I think I did take it. I'm going to go take it again. And sometimes things change.
It's true.
Yeah.
We're going to fluctuate a little.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was so amazing to be here with you today. Yeah. I look forward to having you again and look forward to watching the journey with your daughter and the upcoming nuptial. So that's going to be exciting.
Yes. Thank you so much, Grace. Always an honor and a pleasure.
My pleasure. And thank you everyone for being here with us live. And thank you for those joining us on the replay. We appreciate you and wish you a magical rest of the day ahead. Take care. Hey, love. Thank you so much for listening today. I am so grateful for you. I'd like to show you my appreciation by gifting you a free forgiveness self-hypnosis audio download. Part of living the fun and fabulous life is practicing forgiveness. Forgiveness can be such a long and challenging process. My intention is that this forgiveness audio will help you in practicing forgiveness, especially with yourself. Grab it by visiting daretoachieve.com/forgiveness. For more inspiring tips, make sure to connect with me on social media. Drop me a line on Facebook or Instagram at Grace Redman Dare to Achieve. Until next time, keep moving forward towards living your fabulous life.